My name is Suranjan Sen. That's spelled Suranjansen. We're here today on behalf of the Institute for Justice, a nationwide, nonprofit, public interest impact litigation firm that seeks to advance and defend constitutional protections for individual liberties. At no cost to the client, the Institute for Justice fights against governmental overreach with the ultimate goal of making the law better for everyone. Today, we're filing a constitutional challenge to New York's selective and arbitrary caps on rents for vacant apartments. These caps do not protect any tenant. Instead, they keep these units perpetually off the market to the detriment of all New Yorkers. Today, to tell you all more about our case is my colleague, senior attorney Robert Johnson. Rob.
Thank you, Suranjan. Good morning, Robert Johnson, the Institute for Justice. It's ROBERTJOHNSON. Tens of thousands of apartments sit vacant across the city of New York because the rent on those apartments is capped by law so low that they cannot economically be rented. After long-term tenancies, apartments require work to put them back on the market. But landlords cannot afford to do that work if the rent is capped too low. Now, importantly, today's lawsuit does not challenge the provisions of New York law that prevent landlords from raising the rent on existing tenants in occupied apartments. But when there is no tenant in an apartment, when that apartment is sitting vacant, caps on the rent for that apartment don't help anybody. All they do is take apartments off the market, limiting housing supply and hurting both landlords and tenants alike. The building behind me is a perfect example of what we're talking about. In this building, there is a 2-bedroom apartment where the rent is capped by law at about $700 a month. It simply does not make sense for a landlord to put tens of thousands of dollars into fixing up an apartment to get it ready to put it on the market when the rent is capped by law at $700 a month. And as a result, that apartment sits vacant, and it will continue to sit vacant indefinitely. That helps nobody, and it makes no sense, and that's why we're filing this lawsuit. New York is one of the few jurisdictions in the country that limits the rent that can be charged for vacant apartments. Even California says that when an apartment becomes vacant, that apartment can reset to market rents. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to make the rent laws in New York reasonable, in line with the way they are in other places across the country. And our legal theory is very simple. When the government regulates property to the point that that property cannot be economically used, that's a taking. And that is what New York has done to these vacant apartments. New York has regulated these apartments off the market. They cannot be used, and that is unconstitutional, and it hurts both landlords and tenants alike. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Pashko now.
Good morning. My name is Pashko Njurai, P-A-S-H-K-O, last name L-U-L-G-J-U-R-A-J. I'm one of the owners of this building behind us here. We're just trying to provide good, safe apartments to tenants who want and need them. But the rent laws of 2019 have pretty much tied our hands. The laws specifically relating to individual apartment improvements harm just about everyone. It helps. It doesn't help anyone and harms all the parties concerned. Building owners, tenants, city coffers, contractors, their employees, supply houses. So it really, the laws help no one, as I said, and harm most parties involved. We're just trying to protect our constitutional rights and rights of other similar owners in the city. And I don't think I have much else to say.
So we're happy to take questions if you have any.
Mine is like, why now? Something changed just recently, or why is this happening now?
So after 50 years of these laws being in place, the rents have simply gotten to the point where they are out of touch with reality, and we have tens of thousands of buildings across, tens of thousands of apartments across the city that cannot reasonably be rented, and that are sitting vacant. And this is a time when New York needs more housing, and to have apartments sitting vacant because they can't be rented, it makes no sense. It's making a bad situation worse. Tens of thousands of apartments, we're talking about the equivalent of a year's worth of construction that could be put onto the market if these rent caps were lifted.
Nothing's changed in the last weeks, or is this looking forward? Is this about the change in the mayor?
So certainly freezing the rent is not going to make the situation any better. And it makes this all the more urgent. If the rents are frozen, then that's going to mean these apartments are never going to come on the market. All right. Great. All right. Well,